So picture this. You're in back-to-back meetings. Your inbox has 47 emails. There's construction noise outside your window, and someone keeps pacing back and forth in front of your door, kind of scuffling their heels. And you just want to cover your head and scream. If this has ever happened to you, then you need to check in and listen to this, because I'm going to share my own experience with you. I'm Candice Quinn, founder of Contract Hack, and I'm also a neurodivergent attorney that has a hard time in that exact situation, and it's not fun. And we're not welcomed by firms for the reason that we look awkward a lot of the time. But here's what I realized. The problem is not me. It's not me. The problem is the profession that was designed by neurotypicals for neurotypicals and refuses to let the neurodivergent attorneys in and be part of the game. So today I'm pulling back the curtain on firms and employers and how they pretty much actively try to keep neurodivergent attorneys out of the legal profession. Number one, the billable hour. It was completely designed for neurotypical attorneys that can do things in structured little blocks of time very easily and efficiently. That's not me. That's not most neurodivergent people. And that's okay. Our brains think differently. We use hyper-focus times to get our work done. We dig deep into specific issues and become experts on things, and that is great. But the billable time component, that works against us. And who does it work for? It works for the firms. They make a profit with billable attorneys, and it works for the firms who profit from the billable time concept. Even though they could set up different fee arrangements like value-based billing, they choose to continue with the billable hour because it makes them the highest amount of profits, even though it turns their attorneys into cogs whose sole function is to bill 6 minutes of their life again and again and again. Neurodivergent attorneys can't task switch on command. We can't stop our brain from thinking about one thing and start thinking about another one just because that 6 minutes rolled over. And it doesn't always translate into easily efficiently categorized time, even though our work product can be exceptional and in many cases better than neurotypical attorneys. The constant self-monitoring that neurodivergent attorneys need to do in order to work within a billable hour model is really quite taxing and actually reduces their cognitive function as the day goes on and as their career progresses and they do billable hours day in and day out. And even though firms know that this doesn't work, like I said, they refuse to change it because it's profitable for them, and they don't care about the cost of neurodivergent attorneys. They don't care about the cost to their mental health, and they don't care if it means that they let the neurodivergent attorneys go because of poor performance or some other performance issue. So number two is the networking. Networking. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about networking. This is basically we want you to perform like a neurotypical person. And if you can't perform like a neurotypical person and in these weird social events, then we are going to cut you because you don't perform like we want you to. And I like to call it the dancing monkey routine because it really seems like they just want us to dance. So what is a networking function to me? It is throw me in a room with no structure and expect me to work the room and somehow come away from that with not just having talked to someone and learned something, but come away with that with a definite lead on how to get business, on how to get a mentor. It is basically do the impossible for me. If you throw me into that room, I am going to latch onto one person I know and I'm going to follow them from conversation to conversation, nodding as they talk to people, and I'm not going to talk. And it's because I'm very overwhelmed. I'm worried about masking and I'm trying to script the conversations in my head, but they move faster than I can script them. So I end up never really saying anything, or if I do say something, people just kind of stare at me because I awkwardly interjected it weirdly and it just doesn't go well for me. And that's how it goes for a lot of neurodivergent attorneys. And it's not fair because we can actually show our value and be able to bring in business through our cognitive abilities. Clients love attorneys who get them results, and all they need to see is us getting results for them in order to want to give us more business. They don't need to see us walking around with a drink in our hand and schmoozing and working the room and not being awkward. That's not how a client is going to determine who to give the business to. They want the results. That should be enough to show that you're worthy at the firm, is having performance that gets results. Okay, so next let's talk about the torture chamber that is considered a professional office. Fluorescent lights and all kinds of sounds, maybe helpful elevator music that isn't really so helpful to those of us who can't think with lots of noises and distractions. You also have people stopping in just to chat or just to ask a quick question, but that's, forcing you to switch contexts and not helpful to how your brain is functioning, working on the task that it's working on. If you're a litigator in a courtroom, that's even worse in some ways, though there's less ability to change that. But here's where remote work comes in. And I think that 2020 confirmed that all attorneys can work remotely. And what it really means is that when you can work in your own space in a way that's comfortable for you, the temperature is nice, and you've got the lighting the way that you want it, and you're in comfortable clothing instead of dressed up in clothing that's scratchy or tags that bother you, you are so much more productive, and it is such a better environment to work in. And for me, I feel more comfortable talking to people via a Zoom than in person. In person, I'm all over the place. I don't know where to look. I'm worried about nodding. I'm worried about looking like I'm paying attention instead of actually paying attention. But when I'm on a Zoom, I can have that fidget in my hand and I can be easily paying attention, still looking engaged because I am engaged. I'm not faking looking engaged. I'm really engaged when I'm on a Zoom. And I can take control and really lead the conversation if I need to. But I can't do those things in person because I am so worried about all of the other societal norms and whether I'm appearing neurotypical or not. So for me, remote work is absolutely the answer. And I think it should be more acceptable for attorneys at any stage in their career, and even for courtrooms and other public settings where it should just be accepted that there is the possibility of a remote appearance or a remote need. And I think the same thing goes for clients, that it should become more normal that they can accept a Zoom call with their attorney rather than going into an office, getting a bottle of water, and sitting in a conference table. The same thing can still happen from that Zoom call. Okay, number 4. So all of this masking that neurodivergent attorneys do is really taking a mental toll on us. We spend a lot more time figuring out what to say, scripting things, how to respond, knowing when to be on, when it's okay to not be on, trying to understand what's acceptable, what's not acceptable in this neurotypical world that isn't just second nature to us. And it causes a lot of burnout with neurodivergent attorneys. We already have additional struggles in other areas of our life, and it would be great if our workplace was one where we could just sit down, head down, do our work, and not have to worry about all of these other things. And when we tell these firms that we're not getting, heard, we're not getting our needs accommodated, we're pretty much told that we're just not a good fit and that our performance is down or we don't network well, and we're shown the door or quietly suggested that we find a new role. Employers really need to take into account what toll this takes on neurodivergent attorneys when they are day in and day out trying to perform as a neurotypical person when they are not neurotypical. Okay, number 5 is my absolute favorite because it has cost me so many jobs and interviews, and it is this culture fit language that firms and in-house companies use to exclude the neurodivergent attorneys. And it's really like, oh, you just weren't a fit culturally. Like, we know you could do the job, but we just didn't, think you were a good fit. And what does that mean? That means you don't like me and you don't want to work with me. Like, that's not a great feeling. But all of that aside is like, do you want me to do, I can just do the job. Like, we're not dating, we're not getting married. Like, how often do you need to talk to me that you need to really like me? You could just deal with me because I do a really good job for you and I'll work really hard for your company or your firm. And it doesn't need to be this you're my best friend and I would marry you. It doesn't need to be that. Like, we can work with people that that we don't like. I do it all the time. Like, trust me, it is very possible to work with people you don't like. That's okay. You won't die. And firms and employers need to start realizing that this culture fit excuse is just so they can get out of employment claims and other issues that arise when they systemically exclude neurodivergent attorneys based on a culture fit excuse. They're only letting themselves down, and they're only keeping their firms in the past. I'm done pretending that this is anything other than systemic exclusion, because neurotypicals don't want to let neurodivergents in. Whether it's a firm or a business, that is what is happening. Even though there are many benefits to employing a neurodivergent attorney and that we provide lots of benefits besides tons of billable hours, we provide lots of benefits in different ways of thinking, using our brains differently, problem solving, and it is time that neurodivergent attorneys make themselves their own place in the legal profession and start getting recognized by firms and employers for the positive traits that we bring to the career. But until that happens, know that you're not the problem. And for this whole video, I want everyone here to know that neurodivergent attorneys are, quite frankly, amazing, and we can do a great job in any aspect of the career, whether that's litigation, whether that's transactional work, whether that's bankruptcy work, whatever that is, we can do a great job. But we just need to approach it a little bit differently than a neurotypical attorney, and that doesn't mean that it's wrong. So if you're a neurodivergent attorney, I can help you with some tips and tricks in order to help you manage and make accommodations for yourself, even when your employer fails to do so. Go ahead and schedule a call with me. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. And I would love to talk with you about your goals, what challenges you're currently facing, and some strategies that I think might help you overcome and accommodate your challenges. And if this video resonated with you, go ahead and like the video and leave me a comment below telling me the biggest challenge that you faced or seen a neurodivergent attorney face within the legal profession. And I hope you have a great day, hackers. Bye.